All right. We'll be ready to go here in a second after I tweet this out. Copy, paste. Tweet, tweet, tweet. There we go. All right. Let's get underway. Yo, yo, yo. What is good, everybody? It is your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at ya. Let's all be one cohesive unit and hit the like button and help spread the content to a wider audience. And make sure you hit the bell icon so you can stay notified whenever I put out new content. I would appreciate that as well. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. I hope you are enjoying the content. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. Look at that title right there. PS4 Pro price cut could signal PS5 in 2019 and hurt the Xbox One X. It doesn't get any more simpler than that. Wow. So I'm subscribed to Fox Games UK. So I'd probably say right around Dog, what is up? You are first. I'll probably say about 11 a.m. Eastern. I got the alert that Foxy Games UK had posted a video. Not only is he one of my friends, he knows an industry insider that he used to work with. So he gets the juicy nuggets, as far as PlayStation is concerned. Playbox, what is up? Hey, the PS5 hype is real, man. That ain't no bullshit. And the thing about it, the thing that gives me great delight to do this podcast, hey, people said I was crazy, thinking that it was going to be a 2019 PS5 release. And I'm sticking to my guns. I still think that the PS5 is going to release in November of 2019. At the very latest, I think is going to release in March of 2020. And originally my first thought was that the PS5 wasn't going to come out until 2021, 2020 at the earliest. EJ Johnson, next gen might be good or trash. Telling it like it is. I expect the PlayStation to already double down on what they're doing. They already said they're going to Iron Fist. What's up? Guy Code. I'm still going with November of 2019. Foxy, he's got an insider, so I'm just a person making a guess, where he has inside information. So on the outside looking in, I mean, you would probably be better to believe Foxy's prediction than mine. I'm going with a gut feeling, but originally I thought the PS5 was going to come out in 2020, 2021. But just like too much information just started coming out, and like the information that got out about Mark Cerny. Ian Robertson, what's up? Hey Ian, I saw you in One Stop for Gamers podcast. You want to join me? Because this is definitely one of those topics where I would definitely like some support gaming. What's up? This is definitely one of those topics where I'd like to bring someone in and get their perspective, and so all right, sit tight. I'll send you a link. All right. PlayStation Plus podcast. Ian of Tashima. Message. Paste. There you go, my friend. I look forward to welcoming you in Wakanda. So You said watch them, EJ Johnson, watch them release the PS5 in December. I'm going with November. Traditionally, I think both Microsoft and Sony have released their consoles in in November of whatever year they're going to release it, because it gives everybody, basically the first people who's going to buy the console, like me, we're the guys that's going to buy the console and then show it to everybody. And then everybody who wants it will get ready to try to get it for Christmas. Oh, we have a Ian Robertson in here. Please
yes, we do.
Please lock the door behind you.
Yeah, it's well locked.
All right. Welcome to Wakanda.
I'm glad to be there.
All right, man. So I saw that you were on with One Stop for Gamers earlier.
Yeah.
I made it a point not to watch that podcast so I could have something to watch at work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
that makes sense.
But believe me, I really wanted to watch it because you guys were touching on a subject that that I've been poking at for months, and making my prediction that the PS5 could possibly come out in November of 2019. So because of the PS4 price cut, from according to Foxy Games UK, they're gonna knock the price down to what the current PS4 costs right now, and which to me translates to $300 once it makes its way over here to the US.
Yeah.
And they're going to start phasing out the PS4. So that definitely signals the end of the generation. That gets the ball rolling towards the end of the generation. Based on what you've gathered, what do you think? What do you think could be a realistic release for the PS5?
I think because they're kind of getting rid of the standard one, just keeping the Pro and then putting the Pro down that price, kind of tells you that. Yeah, I thought it was going to be 2020, but I think there is a chance of it coming out November next year. Maybe even March 2020, because it's fiscal year to them, so it could be March 2020. But yeah, you can tell it. There's signs are starting to. Plus, there's rumors going about. I don't know if they're true or not, but they might be having a PlayStation meet and thing in February, March time. So, and that's the time they talked about PlayStation 4. So, yeah, I think we might be getting news about it in less than 4 months. So, but it's exciting times, that's for sure.
See, one of the things that people said, I think one of the reasons why people said I was crazy for making a 2019 prediction was because they was talking about like how much time Sony would need to make the announcement and show games and build up the hype and that kind of thing. But when they announced the PS4 Pro, they announced it, and then the thing only came out a couple of months later. So it wasn't a situation where they was like, with the PS4 Pro, it wasn't a situation where they announced it and then we had to wait another year while they build up hype for it, like Microsoft did with the Xbox One X. So
yeah. Plus, it doesn't take long really to make the consoles anyway. So I had to put them to mass production anyway. So.
When Mark Cerny was going around talking to developers, asking them what they wanted, I assumed that he was going around asking them what they wanted in terms of the processor and in terms of graphical power.
Yeah.
So that led me to believe that everything else was probably in place, and it led me to believe that everything was ready to go. They were probably just waiting, to get that new processor that everybody's been talking about, which I'm not too familiar with that kind of stuff, but the word Xbox, the word Ryzen and Xbox Scarlet and PS5, all that stuff just kept coming up, and the three were always connected, leading me to believe that both Microsoft and Sony were waiting for the new CPU.
Yeah. Plus they're waiting to finalize the Navi / Vega GPU. So because once that's sorted, then once they have the Ryzen, it should both consoles are going to be roughly spec the same, so it's going to be who has the better games next generation.
Mm-hmm. 1 second here. Craig Harris, would you like to join us?
Craig's always going to.
You know what? Here's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and send him a link. When you Craig Harris, when you reach the invisible dome to come into Wakanda, make sure you give the secret knock, and I will let you in. But I will send you a link right now. The Messiah in his blue robe of truth. Make sure you bring that with you.
Yeah, his followers are a lot of them are going to hell for all their sins against the Messiah.
Okay, there you go, Mr. Harris. Link sent, and I am ecstatic. I am excited to talk about this latest news. So another thing that I want to talk about. What do you think? How do you think? Because I already got my opinion of it. What do you think a $300 PS4 Pro? How do you think that will affect sales of a $500 Xbox One X?
Quite a lot, because you're getting a good value for money. You're getting a good console, and you're getting probably the best console actually has exclusives. So theoretically, that'll make people want to buy more because they're getting the better deal. For sure.
No question. I mean, a $200 gap difference. I think that is myself. I thought well, before I go on with that, we just had a visitor to Wakanda. So let me make him feel at home. Please introduce yourself to everyone, Mr. Harris.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening? Thanks for the vine. I just got home. I'm tired.
I appreciate you joining us for however long it may be. So, getting right to it, give us your thoughts about the PS4 price cut, what it signals in terms of when the next generation is going to drop, and how you think that's going to affect sales of the Xbox One X, being that there's going to be a possible $200 price difference between the two.
Oh, well, shout out to Foxy Games UK. He predicted this months ago. What it's just coming down to is that they've got more. Well, they're just going to make the sounds like the Pro. He was saying they're going to make the Pro the default device.
Yes,
and it may not be that much more expensive to produce the Pro. Makes some sense now why they slowed production down. And so, yeah, and Sony, something that was in a Eurogamer article, I guess maybe in 2016, was the Eurogamer was saying that Sony really believes in the true model of a console generational leap, meaning that you go back, the games that were on the Nintendo whatever 64 wouldn't play on the other Nintendo systems. So Sony's going to do something similar. They are not Microsoft. I really, people got to really understand that the Microsoft fan base is in a point where they're just trying to stay relevant. That's why they say, well, Microsoft is doing it, then Sony's going to do it too. That's a term coming from people that want to stay relevant. Like, well, we're doing it, they got to do it. So it's. It is what it is. So, but as far as I don't know if it'd be a $200 price difference. That's pretty damn big. I do think that, well, I know that Sony's their box is going to be more. Shout out to Fox Games again. Yeah, they're going to be more balanced in their box than Xbox is. The new Xbox will be. So the new Xbox will do some things better, but overall, that Sony machine is going to be, it ain't gonna be nothing. Nothing's gonna touch it. This is that's all I can say. Well, shout out to Lou Wampa. He told me some stuff about it. I was just like, Jesus, if they're able to do what you're talking about, then it's have to wait and see. But it's still, I don't know about 2019. I think fiscal 19, so spring of 20 or late winter of 20. I don't know how that affect their sales. It's like they're going to totally just scrap, this. We're going to give you The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, your FIFAs, your Madden, all that stuff will still come out in 19. But a lot, I don't know about. I'll trust Foxy when he says that the games that are going to be on the 5 will not work on the 4 or the Pro. But I haven't gotten that confirmed yet. But I would roll with Foxy on that one. But if you put a gun to my head, I would say, yeah, go with what Foxy's saying.
That's fine with me because I've said that a long time ago. What up, Draco? If they, if the PS5 is not backwards compatible, a lot of people may be upset with it, but I'm fine with that because, the PS4 Pro that I have is basically my insurance policy for when the PS5 comes out.
Yeah.
If it's not backwards compatible, then I will keep my Pro. Simple as that. And then there's also my VR to consider too, because if the current PlayStation VR is not forward compatible to the PS5, assuming that the PSVR 2 is not ready yet, then Trey BK, what's up? Then that puts me in a position where I have to keep my PS4 Pro and my PSVR until all that next generation stuff is ready. So if it is not backwards compatible, that is fine with me. Now, before I turn it over to one of you guys, I want to give, my thoughts on why I predicted 2019. First of all, way before I started doing live podcasts, when I was doing, videos that I was editing and that kind of stuff, shortly after I started my YouTube channel, I had a video that said the race for 2019 way back months ago, and people thought I was crazy. And now I'm not sounding so crazy anymore. But for the most part, I'm not an industry insider. I don't have any inside information. I'm not an analyst like Michael Pachter, but I made this, I made this prediction because there was just too much information coming out on both sides, with Mark Cerny going around seeing developers, asking them what they want in the new console, which led me to believe that the groundwork was ready, it was laid out, and they were ready to put things in motion. They were just waiting for a final, input from the developers. Also, history has shown us that both Microsoft as well as Sony has demonstrated that they believe that whoever gets out the blocks first has a huge head start on the opposition, and it could lead to somebody winning the generation. Now, the PS4 only got out like 3 weeks before the Xbox One, but to me, that along with the $400 price tag versus $500 for the Xbox One X and the DRM situation led to a huge head start for the PS4. So, I got other thoughts, but let me turn it over to you guys. Tell me what you guys think.
Oh, go ahead, Ian. Shout out to you, Ian, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Craig. As I said, yeah, I personally think it'll either be November next year or it'll be March 2020. I think it's probably around that fiscal, as what Craig was saying. I think it will probably around about that time, but I don't think we really need it just now because there's so much awesome games coming out. So I still think we don't really need it for a couple of years. It just seems to be, I don't know if they took their time and just brought it out instead of because sometimes you feel like it's a bit rushed, trying to rush it out. But yeah, I think 2020 would be perfect for it. But I know some people would prefer it was maybe 2021, but
well, they're on their own timeline. They're not. They don't care about where our timeline is. When the technology becomes affordable for them to start, doing what they need to do, they're going to do it.
Well, plus a lot of people still don't know if it's Vega or Navi. Because
I know.
Yeah, I know you know. Mm-hmm. Your little teaser.
I know. Yeah, I can't say I know. I've got a pretty good idea. I'll give it 70% probability.
I know it's definitely a Ryzen CPU. It's just the GPU I'm just wondering about.
Well, again, you're not going to get a big graphics huge boost. I mean, again, the best looking game I've seen is Horizon Zero Dawn. Open world, day-night cycle. Now, it's not an accurate day-night cycle. The character model, you can make the argument about the story, but there's a reason why that game won so many Golden Joystick technical awards.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
What's the other one? The Eurogamer Digital Foundry game of that year was Horizon Zero Dawn, based on the technical build of it. So, and just you can't really get as what else are they going to do? I mean, we're looking at an open world, maybe Insomniac's Spider-Man game as far as the density of the city, and the traffic. It's a city. It's acting as a city. As far as the density, that game is more denser than Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5 combined. There's more cars, more people in Spider-Man than there are in both those games combined. So
yeah. Plus, Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima graphically will probably be up there as well. So
yeah, they'll get as much squeeze out of that juice. I've always said, the first party guys get the squeeze. But Lincoln, I think you're on to something. When Mark Cerny showed up at that showcase, I guess PSX last year, and he was also there. All the developers were at PSX. I mean, we saw the Naughty Dog developer was there. They talked to the person at Sucker Punch who was. They were talking to them about the Ghost of Tsushima. They just showed it at Paris Games Week. A few weeks earlier, they were talking to them. So all their principles were there. Yeah, Sony is not building the PS5 based on what EA and Ubi and them want. They're building based on what their first party devs are going to do. But it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful device if you're into the specs. Just balanced. I mean, that's all I can say. It's like my computer, when I'm done, it will not be the most powerful. It won't have ray tracing, but I'm going to get the best balance because I'm going to have two AMD cards linked to each other. So
you've got two of them. Wow.
The Ryzen is an AMD chip, and then the RX Radeon. So a lot of my games are going to get a boost, which I didn't know. But they put something out. AMD put something out the other day about like Assassin's Creed is going to get a 5% boost. So it'll be good. I'll be fine. And AMD's putting out and remember, AMD is putting out another graphics card called, I think, the 680. So that's kind of what you all need to really think about when you think about the PS5.
Mm-hmm. Myself, all I'm really concerned about with the PS5, Twisted Sin, what's up? What I'm really concerned about with the PS5 is that it will be able to run the PSVR 2 smoothly with no issues. And I would like to think that I'd like to think that it is. The only thing I'm really concerned about as far as the PS4, the PSVR 2 is that the headset could possibly be wireless. I just don't know if we're ready for that kind of a leap yet. I would prefer that it still has one cord running to the console, but hey, if it's Sony's shown that they can work some miracles with some hardware. So
I think this one coming will probably still have cables. I think it'll be the third version. It'll probably be wireless, but I think you'll still get, because there's technology still not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm. So to me, I find this to be a coincidence that this announcement about the PS4 price cut comes only a few days after Sony, agreed to crossplay.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think this PS4 price cut ties into why Sony agreed to crossplay, that they're getting ready to leave this generation behind?
No. Shout out to Dark Cloud. He was on Weapon Wheel yesterday. If you listen to Weapon Wheel, I think within the first half hour, he explains why they did the crossplay. I mean, and he's got some pretty good sources, and
he does work for for
So
Sony.
enlighten me as to why they did the crossplay, because
just paraphrasing it. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's fine.
It had something to do about it had something to do with the European market and Fortnite gaining a foothold. I think he says something like a foothold or getting a bigger market share out in Europe. And he did say there were still people pretty high up in the Sony business that didn't want to do it. They still don't want to do it. They're doing it, but there's still a lot of heavy hitters who didn't want to do it. So it's just a beta, and that's pretty much what it was. It's pretty much, if Fortnite is really, I mean, it's a beta. Now, the Call of Duty game is supposed to slaughter. This is a big third-party developer, massive money, massive marketing machine behind this. Marketing deals with different. They're going to have launch parties all around the world. This game should take Fortnite out. That's the prediction. Or take it down. So we'll have to wait and see. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's my understanding. That's paraphrasing him, because I want to try to get him on my podcast just to ask him about some other stuff. But yeah, just that was pretty much it. It's not just a flip of a switch and all that kind of stuff. There's all kind of things that go in with the security and who's going to do what, who's responsible for what. And I mean, my understanding is that that's running on Epic servers. So if somebody makes a racist remark, somebody tries to get in touch with some little kid on some device, Epic's going down. So not Sony. So there's other stuff that was at play too, but they did it for that. They also did it to shut a lot of the naysayers up, and it did. It shut everybody up. So shout out. It's like I said, I told people it was a chess move. I mean, I don't have to. Anybody that plays chess, I don't have to take everything off the board to beat you. Okay, I don't have to take all your people. I just take enough where you don't have no more moves, and anywhere you go, I can just say check. You'll try to move, and you'll put there, and I'll just say check. And it's not like checkers where I have to take everything. So, but it's my understanding is nobody's using it. I mean, from what I can get out of people, ain't nobody doing it. So we'll have to wait and see, though. Have to wait. I think they should have done it on World of Tanks. That's the first game I would have done it on. The crossplay on is World of Tanks, but that's my opinion.
I had heard some things that one of the reasons why they went ahead and we got to go in here. Anybody on loudspeaker?
No.
Oh, okay. I think eliminate it. One of the things I can't remember where I heard it from, where I heard why Sony possibly went ahead with the crossplay is that it would help microtransaction sales on their platform if they go ahead and allow people to carry their progression over to another console and allow them to play with other people. But aren't their skins only available on the PlayStation?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not for sure. I downloaded Fortnite. There was some type of device, and I was jumping up and down on it like a trampoline. I'm like, this is stupid. And I just quit playing. But I don't know. Maybe there's skins on each, but my understanding is that Sony's got the most skins for the people who are really into it. So I don't know how that works in cross progression. I don't know if you take that over to I don't know how that works. So I like if Ian's playing on the Switch and he buys a skin, this Nintendo's like it's part of the Nintendo package. He puts his money in, he gets it. If he says, okay, now I'm going to go play it on Xbox, is his same skin going to be over at the Xbox where he just get a basic skin with his player ranking and score and all that stuff? And I was led to believe that stuff like what you just said right there is why Sony, finally went ahead with crossplay, which I found the timing of them announcing, agreeing to crossplay.
I was like, wow, that's crazy because they're still riding high off the success of Spider-Man. So Spider-Man made everybody forget about crossplay.
Yeah, well, poor Ian, he didn't like Spider. He doesn't like Spider-Man. but no, I don't disagree. Spider-Man was a nice way for them to end their run of first-party games. I think they're going to still be at Paris Games Week. They did have I saw a commercial for FIFA. They're having some kind of FIFA tournament.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming they'll be at Paris Games Week. Now, don't put words in the Messiah's mouth. I'm not here saying they're going to announce a bunch of new games, but they may have some gameplay or developer talk or dev notes and stuff like that. But I'm interested in that stuff. But and a lot of people aren't. So they just want to play the games, and that's fair. I respect that.
I'm led to believe at Paris Games Week, and we'll probably see more footage of games that we already know are coming out in 2019 to close out the generation. Because I don't expect to see any kind of PS5 stuff until next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree 100% with what Foxy said. He made a very good point. There's no game coming out that we don't know about. I mean, we know about them. They kind of blew their load at Paris Games Week last year, and that was to slow down the momentum of the Scorpio, and it worked. It worked.
Like a charm, it worked.
Yeah, so a lot of people were like, well, I'll just wait. And, of course, and Scorpio, they did their job. They wanted to kill the momentum of Scorpio, and when they dropped the price of their consoles and had all those bundles that hit, right around the holiday, and then they won MPD, that stopped any momentum the Scorpio had. It's never really been able to get up off the ground. I've always said it's like a great gunfighter that's limping, or a great martial artist with a broken fibula, So, but ultimately, they're ruthless. I really tell people Sony is ruthless. They want to dominate the gaming space. They don't want to share it.
I've said that. I've said that. That's another reason why I predicted a 2019 release. Because right now, we still got an echo. But right now, Sony has their foot on Microsoft's neck, and I think they're going to try to snap it next generation. That's why I think the race for 2019 is on. I've been saying that for months. The race for 2019 is on, and Microsoft has clearly demonstrated during the 360 generation that they believe you have to get out the blocks first in order to win the generation, or at least get a huge head start. So much to the point that they released a console that was not ready. In my opinion, if Scarlet releases in 2019, it won't be because it's ready. It's because they're trying to get a jump on Sony.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, but from what I understand, what Sony is doing is they're spending a lot of money. They're both with AMD. And shout out, I love what Foxy said today. Everybody go check out that stream Foxy did with Matt's game. I know people got a problem with Matt's, but Matt's is a cool ass dude. At the end of the day, I love what Fox, when he said they're both in the same sandbox. They're just going to use the sand differently. And but what he said, I agree 100% with, because what I was told is that the PlayStation 5 is a generational leap, and that it's going to do things via AMD that Microsoft's console just is not going to do. Not that but what Microsoft's console is going to do is going to do it really well. So it's just kind of they both are going to do a lot of the same things. Just Sony's will be more proficient. I think there's a difference in PC talk between efficient and proficient. I don't know what the differences are, because but Sony's device is supposed to be more proficient. That's my understanding of it.
So do either of you two think that the traditional Scarlet console that they're going to release alongside the streaming device, do you think it's going to have more power than the PS5?
No,
not from what I've been told. But again, it doesn't need to. If AMD, a couple of things happened. AMD got 4K native 30 FPS with 7.4 T-flops. That's the truth. That's been reported. That's been verified. So what are they going for next generation? Well, they're going for better frames per second. So what do they need that their assets put at? The CPU. The GPU is fine. Can anybody, I mean, Detroit Become Human, I mean, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yes, Mass Effect Andromeda was garbage, but it looked great. I mean, it looked great, but the story was trash.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to Fatal Mephisto. He thought it was good. I can't get behind that candidate on that one. but ultimately, the steaming thing I think is going to work because, like Dealer Gaming was saying the other night, I think, and I said this before, I think they're going to allow you maybe to download 30 to 35%, and then just run the rest out off to the Azure cloud. I think that'll work. That will work. You know, it's like back in the day, you would load a PC game, and it would tell you, well, you don't have enough. You know, in order for you to run this game at the maximum settings for your computer, you need to download 25% and then run the rest off disk. Or, you know, it would say stuff like that. And that's what the streaming box is going to do. And if Google is serious and they're talking about getting into it, it's over. It won't matter. Google, they got more money, they know what to do with. So do you think play with Effect? No. Mass Effect Andromeda was garbage.
Do either of you two think that Scarlett will be Microsoft's last console?
Yes.
I
think after that it'll be on a stick for streaming. I think they're just going to test the waters with that streaming box, but I think that's their future. It won't be a spec beast. It'll just be a little, either like a Fire Stick or some kind of app. But yeah, I think this might be their last console.
Yeah, they're having trouble selling. I mean, they're selling better now than they have in a while.
But too late.
So, yeah. But I think see. I mean, Assassin's Creed, which I don't know when that comes out. I mean, I know it's got to come out soon.
It's out in Friday because I've already got it pre-ordered, so I can't wait.
Okay, because I saw a thing with Kid Smooth. He already had it like queued up, and it just said like 8 hours. Now, it was just earlier in the day. So it's but I don't know. I mean, I know Forza. When does Forza come out? Is that tonight?
Yeah, Forza's out. Is it the 3rd or 2nd?
I thought it was like October 10th or something, but hey, I could care less. Therefore, I don't know the date.
It's okay. I've got Game Pass, so I'll just play on that for a little bit. And then
But I don't know. I mean, as far as the power thing, I mean, I think people got to really understand that the way the tech is going to work is that it's going to work fine. I mean, if Microsoft announces Perfect Dark, Splinter Cell, and and that they've purchased, I think, 3 more studios at their XO event, and then show some games coming out and maybe some concept art from these other studios that they've bought. This concept, maybe some Halo 5 stuff, or what is it? I guess with Halo 6. I'm sorry, whatever it's called. Infinite.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe something like that. 5. Yeah, they'll be fine. I mean, that fan base will be happy. And I've said before that, I'll get, as long as they come out and they say, okay, it's all going to be, like you said, Lincoln, backwards compatible or across multiple platforms, I'll keep it. But if I have to go back to the way I was when I was 25 and I walk into the store and there was a spot for Neo Geo, and there was a spot for the Sega Genesis, and there was a spot for the Nintendo, and there was a spot for whatever else was in that store, the PC, then that's the way it's going to be, folks. I mean, it's not going to be this bullshit of you buying one device and playing every game. I know that's what you guys want. It is never going to happen. Y'all got to get that out of your mind. You don't marry a woman and then say, well, I'm going to go sleep with my friend's wife. Well, I guess you can. But
as far as this backwards compatible thing, my whole thing when people were screaming about this backwards compatible thing, as far as that goes, over on the Xbox side, I think they made a big deal out of it because they didn't have any games. Otherwise, it would have just blew in the wind if they would have had a ton of games over there. But my thought about the backwards compatibility thing, as far as the PS5 goes, my thought was, if you put backwards compatible on the console, that's fine, but I don't want it at the expense of making the next generation game suffer for it.
Well, relevancy. They were trying to say our console's relevant. We had backwards compatibility. That's all that was about.
Yeah.
And,
Plus, you should have played that that old games anyway.
Yeah. So, damn, it's coming out Friday. I thought it came out. I thought Forza came out Friday and Assassin's Creed came out.
So, are you talking about Forza Horizon?
Yeah, the new one, which I'm getting. Like Ian said, I'm gonna get it on Game Pass.
So get ready for the user engagement numbers.
Oh yeah.
How much people have crashed and how much people have went past sheep and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're saying that Assassin's Creed releases in 2 hours. Is that true? Yeah, I don't know if that's like the high. I mean, it got an 88 on Metacritic. So
hey, I'm sorry, but I've never played Assassin's Creed before, and I'm probably not going to start now because I don't have any interest in playing the game.
Yeah, actually, it doesn't look too bad.
I mean,
I'll let you know.
I mean, the majority of the games that I've been playing have been PlayStation exclusives.
Well, and I can't blame anybody for just doing that. I mean, my God. I finally took a look at that Dragon Quest game. Somebody had a screenshot of it. I'm like, man, the game really looks like this. I may pick this up. It looks like a cartoon. It really looks like a cartoon from like the 80s. So I may actually I'm gonna buy it, but hell, I'm gonna have to push something to the side like Persona 5 or something like that's gonna get pushed because I need to know why it's the 11th time they gotta go find the dragon.
Yeah, like when I was trying to convince you to push something to the side to get that VR.
Well, I will. I mean, but yeah, I got to get that RAM first. I mean, whatever goes on sale is because I thought I found some RAM. As a matter of fact, I may be able to get it, like I said, a couple weeks. But if it's still on sale, like it's $100.
Speaking of PS4 Pro price cut and VR, talking about those hand in hand. Do you think if they, like Foxy said, that they lower the price of the PS4 Pro to match the standard PS4, which to me translates to $300 over here in the US. If they go that route and they lower the PS4 Pro to $300, do you predict a permanent price cut coming soon after for the VR?
Yeah, I think they will. Well, actually, because of it's actually going to be £250 here for the PlayStation 4 Pro. So, I think they'll put the permanent down. I don't think it'll be. What is it just now? Anyway, is it still free?
It starts at $300, but I'm a firm believer that I think the peripheral should not cost more than the source because you could play a PS4 without a VR. You can't play the VR without the PS4.
They could do it for
out of those two, the PS4 is the more valuable item.
You could do it for under 200.
Yeah, it's $199. Is that just the bare bones one? Does it not come with anything?
Yeah, I think that's just
probably. I've seen
bundles.
Like the commercial price that I've been seeing is $300, and that's the headset, a camera, and a copy of GT Sport. Now, when you go to the Walmart website, I'm seeing it all over the place that you can get it for $200, but I don't know if that's refurbished headsets or not.
Yeah, no, I'm looking to get one. I would like to try that Eve Valkyrie game. That's the game that I've not seen anybody play. That was a big deal because the PC guys hated that because the Eve Online community on PC, that's a giant community. I mean, you talk about they got their own economy for crying out loud. They're their own made up economy. So
now, I do believe that game is crossplay. I do have that game. I'm not going to lie. That was one of the first games I bought for my VR when it first came out. And at the time, I did not have my VR legs under me. So every time that ship launched out into space, the fighter, it was messing with my stomach. So I haven't been back to the game since, not because of whether the game is bad or anything like that. It's just that so many games have come out ever since the VR has been out that there's some games that I'm just locked into that, I've forgotten all the other games I've got because I got a huge backlog of VR games.
I can't wait to play Firewalls. So
yeah, well, I want to play that battle. What's that thing? Ace Combat 7. I'm looking forward to playing.
I'm looking forward to that in the VR.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that shit. And then I'm hearing Sony is working on a PS5 game, possibly a Robotech game, and it with VR. And if they do that, that thing will sell like bonkers.
Yeah.
Robotech.
I think I didn't mean to cut you off, but while we're still hot on the subject of VR, I do think that is one of the things that Sony may actually be banking on for the next generation, because they already said, we already know they're going to double down on the on the exclusives, on the first party exclusives, and they also said that they're going to bring bigger and better experiences to the VR, which to me translate that I think you're going to see more full-blown AAA games like a Resident Evil, where you have a choice to play the entire game flat screen or you play the entire game in VR, because right now the majority of the VR games that's in the library right now are not very big. They don't have a lot of play time, but I think that's going to change the next generation. I think Sony's going to take that first step. I think I could see them possibly doing, a game like Killzone, where you have a choice of playing that game in flat screen or full-blown VR, whether you want to play the campaign or not. And I think that's going to pave the way for other developers to get on board and make full-blown AAA experiences. I mean, they must be banking heavily on VR, for them to file a patent for a headset and file a patent for a Move controller, for the technology to be baked into the console. They are seriously banking on VR next generation. Yeah. So I think their plan a few years down the line is to make that VR affordable, and with you being able to play full-blown AAA games in VR, I think it's going to make it a must-have. So I think that's how they plan to overcome crossplay if they should decide to do it next generation.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they're at a little over 3 million on VR. So
just over 3 million.
Yeah, so I think
truth be told, those numbers could be much better, except for two things. One thing is the thing launched at $500 for the bundle, which I thought was absolutely insane for the peripheral to cost more than the console. You got the console to cost $400, and you got a peripheral to cost $500. I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Another problem I thought was that they should have launched that thing I think they should have launched it in 2013 alongside the console, or in 2014. It would have gave it time to pick up momentum, and by now we would have had a situation where probably maybe 40% of PlayStation owners own a VR, because by now it would have been a permanent $200.
Yeah, to me, they got to get. There's so many. There's Randall Thor. There's so. Or maybe, I don't know, it's right now. I am going to ask J Dub to maybe one day, could he do a tutorial on hooking that thing up? Because the
VR?
The VR. That looked ridiculous, all those wires.
It seems that way. I really thought it was that way when I first got it, but it's not really hard. Because the way that a lot of those plugs are made, they can only go in one spot.
Yeah, that's true. That's like putting together a PC. It's like, well, it can only go in one place.
Yeah, all the wires are numbered, so
right,
1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and
the only cord where you might, and you couldn't even really mess up on that. It has a standard USB micro cable, micro USB cable that also runs from the processor box into the PlayStation. But that's number 2. You can't screw it up. But not only, but Craig, there's a ton of videos out there that shows you that walks you through how to hook it up step by step. The first time you do it, it may seem complicated, but after the first couple times, you'll know it in your sleep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I certainly hope so. I'm thinking it's going to do fine. I mean, the VR selling, it's moving better. I think it's moving okay. It may be a little under what they thought, but I agree with you. The bundle launch price at $500 that was more. I mean, you could get a good TV, around the holiday for about $500. You knew what to look for. You could get a really good TV. So, but I think I expect it to move a little bit better. Hopefully, this winter.
I think they're going to have some phenomenal sales for Black Friday, because of the release of Firewall, because that is a breakthrough moment with
That's what I've heard.
with Firewall.
Saying that, yeah,
that is a breakthrough moment. I mean, when the game first came out, I heard even PC cats were buying PSVR just so they can get Firewall, because that aim controller makes it so immersive. It was a huge moment for the PlayStation VR, and that sets the tone for a lot of games that's going to be coming this way, because God knows how many times I said it. There are so many first-person shooter games coming out. By this time next year, there's going to be so many first-person shooter games in VR that I think is going to seriously cut into the user base of Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Possibly. Somebody says Sony cut the price of the Pro to help sales compared to the One X. It's, I mean, again, okay. I just don't. That's one's got nothing to do with the other.
No.
They're just clearing the Pro out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've slowed the production. They've choked the point down. You can get bundles. I know that Red Dead bundle is selling pretty well. And what about that stuff they showed today on Red Dead? That actually did pique my interest on that game. I'll get it after I beat Assassin's Creed, though.
I've lost. Before I'll touch on the Red Dead thing here in a second. About the man, I was going to say something about the VR and about the Call of Duty user base. Man, I lost my train of thought. I guess I have to come back to it. But the Red Dead thing, I'm no longer interested in that game. I'm sorry, VR is just taking over me. You know, with all these first person shooter games that's coming out, it's taking over me now. You know, slowly but surely, more and more genres are joining VR. You know, I have my racing game in VR with GT Sport and Drive Club. I have my first person shooter game in Firewall, and now I have my boxing game. So,
how is the boxing game?
The controls look a little bit wonky and goofy and stuff. Yeah. And the first couple of days on it, it was a little bit frustrating because you had these guys, you know, doing these roly-poly, you know, pity-pat punches and shit like that. So I was taking some ass whoopings, but I've weathered that storm, and I've been able to stop these people from coming in with that bullshit. And I've been, you know, and I've been knocking them out the box, you know, like last night I streamed Creed, and I think I had 4 fights and won all of them by knockout. You know,
nice.
I'm stopping.
I saw you knocking somebody. I saw you knock Stallone out.
Yeah, I'm putting these I'm putting these bums to sleep. You know, like Muhammad Ali said, I will not lose to this bum. If I lose to this bum, I will leave the United States and I will not return for 30 days.
plus we've got Blood and Truth hopefully soon as well. So
yeah, now I did see some gameplay of Blood and Truth. I do want to inform people that I think it has a little bit of a rail aspect to it, because from what I understand, once you advance forward, you can't go back to the previous spot. It's forward, and you can't go backwards.
Oh, okay.
So I'll definitely want to warn everybody about that before they get the game. And then I didn't, you know, I'm going to get the game.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want it, because I think it's going to have an amazing story.
Yeah.
Well, I got to get that Creed, Assassin's Creed, Battlefield to piss off all the man babies. And because is Ace Combat, is that this year or is that early next year?
I think it's early next year.
Okay, yeah, because I'm buying that. That looks fun as hell. So and I haven't played an Ace Combat game since like Ace Combat 4, like way back in the day. So
you do realize that has VR missions on it, do you not?
Oh no, yeah, I do. Yeah, and I'm hoping by then everything I've got the PC done, because I'm 2 stones away, you know, from getting that done. And so hopefully by then that'll be done. And well, hell, I'll have that done. And then the VR system would be right after that. So yeah, that's my plan. But yeah, I mean, as far as PS5 coming out in 2019, it just wouldn't shock me. After AMD put that article out about how they got native 4K at 30 FPS locked, you have that article. You have a build of that Chinese console that's this Ryzen CPU and Vega. That's the world's most powerful console. So it would not shock me if they put it out. I just think it's going to come out at the end, early 20, which is still fiscal 19.
Yeah.
So, but I'm thinking February of 20. So February, March of 20, like right before, right at the end of quarter 4, Q4, right when Q1, which is your major, your earnings quarter where you can put your projections. Sony can hold everybody off with their projection on Wall Street and help manipulate that number because they're going to release some hardware. So the value of their company goes up and everything. Depending on how this Venom movie does, their value, it'll add value to them too. So just have to wait and see.
Venom.
Okay, so let's check. Let's talk about how a PS4 price cut could affect the Xbox One X. So we said that we touched on that at the beginning of this podcast. That a $300 PS4 Pro versus a $500 Xbox One X. How do you two think that will affect sales, and do you think that will force Microsoft's hand to drop the price of the X more sooner than later?
They don't like dropping their prices because they're stingy fucks. So it usually takes them ages to really put it down. But as I said before, you've got a choice. You either pay $200 less for something that gives you games than one that you're going to really use as a paperweight. So I don't see the there. It's gonna, more people are going to go towards PlayStation because they'll see the value of it plus the amount of games it comes out for it. So then they look at the other one and go, well, okay, maybe it's supposed to be powerful, but there's no games for it. So they're going to go to the one that's actually got the good games, and people go for what's cheaper. So it's cheaper, so people go towards it more because we're like that as humans. You want to find something that's cheaper. So yeah, more people are going to buy it than an Xbox. In fact, you might get more people saying, no, I'm not buying an Xbox, and just go straight to Sony.
I definitely want to add a variable to this subject, but I want to get Craig's input on this first about, how do you think that $200 price difference is going to pan out? Will Microsoft lower the price of the X sooner than later? What do you think?
I think they're going to lower it. Now, is it just for the holiday, or are they going to permanently drop that price?
It's permanent.
It's permanent. According to Fox UK, they are going to basically, the PS4 Pro is about to replace the standard PS4 because they're going to phase out the PS4.
Yeah. Well, that's hardcore. I mean, I think Microsoft will reduce the price around the holiday to maybe $399. What is it now? I mean, is it still $499?
What's that? The X?
The X, yeah.
Yeah, they had that one moment where they had that sale where they knocked it down to $450, but
I think it comes down to $399. If the Pro is $299, I think the X has got to come down to $399. It still has to. I mean, it's not like I don't want it to, because then my value of mine, I may be able to sell it for like $140. At that point.
You better sell it quickly then.
No,
I still want to play that Forza. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I like Forza Horizon, but I liked Ridge Racer back in the day when I was playing Gran Turismo. But when I needed my escape to just try to drive and flip around on a car, I would play Ridge Racer. But I think, yeah, damn, they're gonna have to come down to $399. That's just all there is to it.
I think they're gonna have to. I think they're gonna have to make 2 price cuts. I think they're gonna have to do something when the PS4 Pro comes down to $300. I think they're gonna have to respond. Then, if they don't respond, now their hand will definitely be forced if it is confirmed that the PS5 will release in 2019, and if it is confirmed that the console will launch at $400, as it has been rumored. So, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy a PS5 for $400? Or are you going to buy the Xbox One X, for $500? Are you going to buy a new generation console for $400 or a previous gen console for $500? So if they don't get up off their ass and lower that price this year, their hand will be forced next year.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you all this. What about the Xbox One S? Do you think they can drop that permanently to maybe $149.99 USD? Or $159 or
They could
169?
put it to, they could put it to 150.
You think the one is to 149.99 and just keep it there, and then keep X in it? See, I think that's a possibility. That's an offset.
I think that would be a huge move for Microsoft. As much as I don't like them, because if they drop the PS4 and replace it with the PS4 Pro, then that $300 price tag hasn't gone anywhere. They just placed another console in that price tag. So
but they can also offer, not to interrupt you, but Microsoft can also, and then hell, I would if I was marketing. If I got it to 149.99, you could also put it out there as a 4K console, and that's something that the Pro isn't bringing. Now, granted, Sony offset that. They got the top. I was telling, shout out to Dark Cloud, like he said, Sony's got the top 4K selling console in the world. So they didn't need to put 4K in their Pro. That's why, because they got a dedicated one that's outselling everything, So, but at the end of the day, I just think maybe if you're Microsoft, you can look to offset. Because let's just be honest, if you I buy 4K movies, the time to get them is Black Friday, that Friday through Monday. I mean, I got like not Justice League. I didn't get Justice League last year. I got Wonder Woman, and I got Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel, all in 4K for I think altogether everything came to $42.88, and that was for 3 4K movies. So, and that which so I'm waiting on Justice League, because that should be free. They ought to pay me to go up there and get it. but ultimately, it's a good time to drop the price. And if you're looking to get a 4K device, and I recommend a dedicated device, but if that's not what you want and you want other options to play some games, the Xbox One S, I've said to people, is the best buy. That's the best, no pun, because you get the same thing that the X gets minus some 4K textures. You get backwards compatibility, you get Game Pass, you get EA access. I mean, it is what it is. So,
leading up to the release of the Xbox One X, all the hype that was around that console, the 6.4 teraflops that we heard 80 million times, the hype leading up to the release of that console, I'm not going to lie. I knew that the Xbox One X would not do anything to right the ship in terms of hardware sales, but I did think the Xbox One X would outsell the PS4 Pro because of how much hype and advertisement and that kind of stuff that went into the console. So I was thinking that Sony might possibly lower the price of the PS4 Pro to $350 right before the Xbox One X launch. So I mean, Sony could have put the hurt on them a long time ago if they would have did that back then, but they didn't. So when they didn't do that, I was like, woo, these.
Well, but Sony doesn't react, I mean, like that. They got a long-term plan. I do think that, kind of like Thanos said, fun isn't what crosses your mind when you're trying to balance the universe. But this brings a smile to my face. I mean, them enacting crossplay, they planned that for a while. They were putting that together for a while, and part of the serendipity is that it shut everybody up. So they didn't plan it. This is kind of the way it happened.
I got another question. Right now, the Pro is selling out. Am I right? It's a hard console to get, right?
Oh yeah, it's hard to get. Yeah.
So what happens when they phase out the PS4 and replace it with the PS4 Pro? Are they going to be able to keep up with demand?
In theory, they should, but they won't. I just don't think they'll put an emphasis on it. Like Foxy Games said, and I second this because Lou Wafa told me about anywhere from 75 to 85% of Sony's PlayStation's assets are at the next console. Not all of them, but the people, let's say at Naughty Dog, that if your job at Naughty Dog was to do, I don't know, the animations for The Last of Us Part 2, that's probably finished, and you're on to the next project, which is on the PS5. Now, who knows what it is? You've heard them talk about they want to do a space-type game similar to Mass Effect. So maybe that's what they could be in early concept on that. But at the end of the day, oh, damn, I lost my train of thought. I literally just lost my train of thought.
well, while you trying to figure that out, hey, Coon, I see you. You said you don't know why Lincoln hates Xbox when he is clearly the character model for Coltrane and God Gears of War. I see you, Coon. I see you, Coon, trying to sneak me. And Spartan God, I saw your comment about Princess being live. So I'm seeing all the comments, but I can't really respond. See, hey, Thrash, I just saw your comment right there. Xbox Scarlet in 19. I told y'all, man, I made a video months ago and I titled it The Race for 2019. And it was like too much information was coming out on both sides. The race for 2019 is on. I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox Scarlet releases in 2019. The problem is, will it be a broken console? Because Microsoft has demonstrated that they're willing to put out some bullshit in order to get a jump on the competition.
Well, but if King Thrash, if you're right about that, then what about these? Are the studios that they purchased, are they further along than what people think?
I think they are.
Are they not going to release anything to 20? I mean, yeah, I'm not saying I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, what do we expect from these new consoles? Are we gonna, because I've been hearing the Splinter Cell game is coming. I've heard Destruction Derby. That game has started out on PlayStation, like on PlayStation 1. Well, the first game was a launch game, I think, or it was in the first 6 months. I heard that.
I remember that game.
Yeah, that's going to be on Xbox. Our version of that will be there. So, I just don't, or maybe it'll be a DLC to something. I don't know. But with that said, it's real interesting. Like I said, I think the one thing that surprised me was AMD verifying, one, they got 4K 30 at 7.4 T flops, and that was native lock, not dynamic, not checkerboard. They got native games at 7.4, and then AMD, their president coming out saying, that young lady coming out saying that, we're working with Microsoft and Sony right now. We've been working with them for some time on their next consoles. I mean, that's a quote from them.
For some time, to me, sounds like at least the last year and a half, 2 year.
Yeah. I'm sure concept and.
So with that being said, those consoles are definitely further along than I think. Now, so here's another thing. Since I believe that both of these companies believe that getting out the blocks first is imperative. How do you think that affects Microsoft? Let's say that the PS5 launches in 2019, like I'm predicting, and that the Xbox Scarlet releases in 2020. What if the PS5 launches at $400 as rumored, and the Scarlet traditional console launches at $500, and it launches with a question mark whether it's going to have any games ready or not? How do you think all that plays out for launches of both companies?
Oh, well, it's an L for. I mean, I don't look at Microsoft's looking at their engagement numbers. They're not, if they get, they get a game and like I said,
engagements numbers to me is just a stat, because if you weren't worried about console sales, you wouldn't be making another console.
Well, but they're making a lot of revenue. I mean, through EA Access and Game Pass and Xbox Live. I've said before, I think the PS5 is going to be a console killing device. I mean, I've said that for a while. I just didn't know. I had an idea. I thought it would be out in 20, announced in 19, come out late 20 for fiscal 21. But I mean, it could go a year early, but they're not looking. They ain't playing no more. I mean, they're doing a device to kill everything.
Well, when they first promoted the PlayStation 4, that was February, March time, and then it was actually out in November. So it could be that time period again.
Yeah, have to wait and see.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't put too much sauce on the burger.
No.
But, I'll simply say that they really don't care that there's people going around saying, well, we don't need a PS5. It's just, it's like anything. It'll be in the store when you're ready for it, you go get it. I mean, so I can say it's not like they're going to stop supporting the Pro stuff like that. So, and at least they only have one console to support. so they can go to the developers and say, well, just make this game for the Pro and give it 4K HDR, and that's it. So the better version of that game may be on the X.
Here's another question. Since I'm posing more questions and giving more opinions, do you think halfway, both of you two, do you think halfway through the next generation that we could see mid-generation refresh consoles like a PS5 Pro or an Xbox Scarlet X?
I can't see it. I don't know why they did. I think they just did it as a one-off. I don't think they'll do it again.
I agree. I think the PS5 is going to be Sony's 4K device versus the Pro, which, quote, allows you to take advantage of UHD displays by using checkerboard rendering. I mean, which is exactly what they wanted it to do. And the games look great. I mean, Detroit Become Human, that opening scene, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I literally sat back on the couch and I couldn't believe it. To this day, I'm still seeing that face. I'm like, that's stunning. I mean, it's just how they're able to show emotion just through their faces like that. Not say a word, but understand how she was getting impatient. You could see it in her face. You can see her swallowing. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Like looking at a real person, for Christ's sake. And that was checkerboard.
Yeah, that's stage for you.
Yeah. So
PLO, I want to respond to him real quick. He said PS5 needs to play PS1 through PS5 games. I disagree with that. First of all, it's not going to play PS1 games. Otherwise, I don't know if you'd have the PS1 Mini out there right now. Secondly, I don't really know that much. I really don't know shit about the inner workings of a console with the motherboards and all that kind of shit. But I do not, I don't know if making a console backwards compatible for it to play PS1, 2, 3, and 4, if that's going to eat up a lot of power. If that's the case, I do not want it, because I do not want the next generation games to suffer because they allocated so much power and in performance to run the backwards compatible games. So I don't know.
Yeah, they would have to put the price up of the console if they were to do that. So I would doubt it. The most you would get is probably PlayStation 4 games. You're not going to get the really, really old ones,
which would be good enough for me, because I have no interest in going back and playing PS3 games, PS2 games, even PS1 games. I mean, the only PS1 game that I would be interested in playing is Tekken 3, but I don't want to play it that bad that I'm going to jump up and buy a PlayStation Mini for it, and I don't want to play it that bad that it has to be backwards compatible on the PS5. I'm moving forward with the technology, not backwards.
Yeah, but to be honest, I wouldn't. If they came out with PlayStation 5 and said it won't play PlayStation 4 games, I would be cool with that, because I would still keep my Pro. So I wouldn't care about that. If they just focused on PlayStation 5 games, I'd be happy.
And if the current VR is not forward compatible with the PS5, I'm going to have to keep my Pro anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are in the boat of, I'm fine with my Pro, and there's nothing. I mean, you don't have to justify anything. That's fine. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. I mean, the Pro is fine. I mean, if Ghost of Tsushima came out, I'm not gonna be like, well, gee whiz, I'm not gonna, why I'll just have to wait for the PS5 build. No, I'm fine. And if there's a version of it on the Pro or on the PS5, okay. But my understanding of it is it's not going to be modulated like that. It will be another console that will not play these games. Now, will it allow streaming like they're doing? That's what they're doing, that streaming thing. Whereas, like, you want to play some of the old games, that's fine. You can wait to Ghost of Tsushima may be a streamable game in 2 years, and that's when you can play it on your on your other console. But we'll just have to wait and see. I think that I think it's cool to think about. I do think 2019 now is a possibility. I will, somebody wants to give me the L for that one, I'll take it. I don't care. It's 10:30 on the East Coast.
Hell, I've been saying 2019, November of 2019 for months. They've been saying that, and they've been saying that I've been crazy for months. Now
I was saying that. because I did not think Sony was doing so well. I mean, you're always thinking a step ahead, but AMD was having issues. They had, and Ian knows this. They were having issues with their Vega tech.
Yeah.
I mean, they oversold Vega and it underperformed. Now, with that said, it's better. I mean, they supported it. It got better. They hired ray tracing. It's got a Vega 46 architecture now supports ray tracing, according to AMD. The Vega 56 is comparable to a 1060 or a little under a 1070. So that's why I'm not expecting a whole lot of graphic exchange up. It's a little sharper, but that's about all they can do graphically.
But with a 1070, you can do 4K 60.
On some games, yeah, you're right. Mass Effect, you can do 1070. I mean, I remember the 1070 being marketed with Mass Effect Andromeda. That's what they showed it on at the NVIDIA conference, a 1070, something called a 1070 Ti. So,
are you listening to YouTube right now?
Yeah.
My point that I was going to bring up is that, another reason for my belief that there was going to be a 2019 release is because of what we know. We know that Mark Cerny had been visiting developers, talking to developers, getting their input. We know that Microsoft and Sony has been in talks to about these new CPUs that is coming out. This is what we know on the outside. So if we know this much on the outside, there is much more than that going on the inside that we don't know about.
Well, that's true.
So with that being said, because of that, I believe that they are further along than we think because of what we don't know and not because of what we know.
Well, yeah, I think AMD is a bigger player. I'll say it. I underestimated how big a player AMD was with Sony. I did not think AMD was in that big of a bid, but apparently they in the same bid. I didn't know it. When I put together the fact that EA, the PSX last year had all the major developers there, and Mark Cerny was walking around with a clipboard or was walking around with a tablet or something. And he was there, like J-Dub City said, he was there taking notes and talking to their first party developers. So, Kojima was there. And so it's kind of like, and like Foxy Games said today, shout out to Foxy Games, that Decima engine that you see, we've seen that game that Kojima's got coming out, Death Stranding. That's the same engine that Horizon Zero Dawn is on.
Yeah. He's done quite a few tweaks to that.
Yeah, it's just he's tweaked it, and then when he's done, he will share that with Guerrilla Games.
Yeah.
So you getting a sense of what the next Horizon Zero Dawn is going to possibly look like. Possibly. With the facial scanning technologies.
I would like to think that you are definitely looking forward to the sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for Horizon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know what the sequel can be. I mean, but because she understands, I mean, she found out a lot of stuff.
I got a question for you right now.
Craig,
I got a question for you right now.
Yeah.
If, let's say, the PS5, just hypothetically speaking, let's say the PS5 was going to launch in a couple of months, and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 was one of the launch games for the PS5. What are you going to do? Are you going to finish working on this computer, or are you going to go get that PS5 so you get Horizon Zero Dawn 2?
I'll finish the PC first. The Horizon, I just don't. I'm going to be wrong. I would be salivating over it, but I wouldn't get it. I just don't know what their sequel can be. I mean, I've played that game up and down, front and back. I love it, but it had a beginning, middle, and end. It did show something with the Hades program, spoiler alert, getting away and going somewhere else, but it had a beginning, middle, and end. So I don't know what another beginning could be. I mean, she's in charge of the Nora tribe at this point. She understands the technology. She understands who she is as a person. She understands that she needs to go forth and have a family. That was part of the game. Everybody was saying she was gay. It's like, oh, she's got a freaking soul.
You know what a sequel is going to be. A sequel is going to be one of two things. She breaks away and forms a family, and something happens that forces her back into that warrior role, or she remains leader of the tribe and demonstrates her leadership abilities.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, maybe the next game they'll put you in charge of building a city like they're going to do with Red Dead. Not only are you going to make camp, you have to maintain the camp. You have to go get the materials to build the camp. You have to cover tracks. It's going to be all kind of, because people will track you to your camp to kill you at night. So that's it could be something like that. But yeah, I mean, I understand it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the PS5 will have a Ryzen CPU. My understanding is it's going to be a second generation Ryzen CPU.
Well, that's what it's just now. Yeah.
Yeah, that will be one of the differences between that and the Xbox. But it's not like the first generation. Again, all you need to get, I guess, 60 frames is what, 3.2, something, I don't know, 2.8. It was something like that with AMD. But
if you can get it into the threes, it would be good.
Yeah, and that's where my understanding it's going to be. So, and what is that? And graphically, they're fine, at least for me. Now they can add more layers. People are right. The Shadow of the Tomb Raider game does look better than Rise. It does, because of the textures. With that said, it is a downgrade. It's not a native 4K game. but I'm thinking
still a good game.
Yeah, I'm thinking you could see some 1440p 60 games on that PS5 with much better texture, shading, lighting, things like that are going to. And again, if you look at if you don't believe me, play Shadow of the Tomb Raider, play it on the X, play it on a decent 4K TV, and look at Rise of the Tomb Raider, which looks better, especially that snow scene, the big opening scene with the HDR and all. It looks better. But her face and the features of her body, the way she's moving around, that's more lifelike in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So it's just it's the same engine. They just modified it, and they put more textures in. So, but I think that's what we're going to see. This more detail, more muscular detail. You'll see somebody get a scar on their face, and then the scar will, you know how it is. You save your game at the camp, and then the next day the scar's gone, the bruise is gone. It won't do that next gen. That bruise will heal over time. So it may scab, it may leave a scar on your face depending on when you get it. This stuff like that. So all that is possible next generation, depending on. I know, but I'm pretty sure the Sucker Punch games for PS5, they're going to make another Infamous game. I can tell you that much. That's the next game they'll make after the Ghost of Tsushima game. So because they're slated, that's what they want. So they're like, yeah, we'll do another Infamous, but I have to wait and see.
Craig, did your connections? Did he say if it was going to have 12 threads or something in the CPU?
No, it wouldn't. We didn't get that detail.
No.
That would have been way over my head. I just wanted a baseline.
Yeah,
I said, it was simple that. I heard Microsoft wants to be the benchmark next generation. He said, well, that's not going to happen. That's all he said.
Yeah. I would imagine it'll still be 8 cores.
How about your situation with your Xbox One X, Craig? Is that
Yeah, I'm gonna. Whenever this Horizon game comes out, I'm getting it on that. So
I know you tried to sell the X once, and
well, I put it up. I put it up and broke out the S, but when Tomb Raider, the week before Tomb Raider came out, I put it back out. So I got it back out of its dungeon.
So the plan is still to eventually sell it?
Eventually, I'll keep it for a while. Shout out to J-Dub City, because shout out to him. Kratos himself came through.
Wow, he seemed like he come through for a few people, because he came through. Him and Zaire came through for Post Up and got them the Spider-Man PS4 Pro.
Yeah. Shout out to both those dudes for doing that, and shout out to Post Up too, because he, at least if you want to believe what he's putting out there in the social media, he's really enjoying Spider-Man, and he's looking forward to playing some other games too. So shout out to both those guys for doing that. And yeah, again, don't let next gen's persona throw you off. He's a good dude. I mean, I remember when I first got on YouTube, he gave me his number. He's like, anytime he helped, any advice I can give you, let me know. I mean, he wasn't like he was being he wasn't like acting like a retard. I mean, he's a good dude. He's just putting on a show.
I don't doubt that for 1 minute. But I mean, for once, somebody like Zaire, I would like to hear him speak from the heart just once,
Oh, he has. And they threatened to break his jaw. I mean, that's what's happening earlier this year. He did speak from the heart. He didn't say nothing negative about Xbox. Those dudes got mad at him and said they threatened to separate his jaw from his face.
And knock him smooth out his Pumas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I like people like Thrash so much. Every time he speaks, it's coming from the heart. He's not saying shit for entertainment value. He's not saying shit for shock value, and he's not saying shit to get views. He's truly speaking what he believes, and that's the kind of YouTubers that I like to listen to, and and that's why people like you, Thrash, and Sick. I can listen to you guys all day, and it's always good to see Ian in there too and get his input.
Yeah, they like I said, J-Dub. Yeah, so I actually got mad when them dudes said that he was trying to buy friends and stuff like that. I mean, nah, the man literally is wanting everybody to enjoy gaming.
Yeah.
And it didn't sink in too, because he said he's well off, job wise and stuff like that. I won't go, into details about that, but he presented a challenge to me. When me and him were playing GT Sport, I did. Yeah. I ran a track on Suzuka. I ran a lap on a Suzuka track, and I turned in a lap time of 2:06. And at the time, that was my best lap time. And he said, "I got a challenge for you. I have the T150 racing wheel, the Thrustmaster T150." He said, "If you could turn in a lap time of 2:05, I will give you a Thrustmaster T350." And And you think I tried my ass off. I was running a good time, but I was trying so hard that I was over aggressive and flew off the track. But I still, give him a shout out for presenting me with that challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's real cool to run into people like that, and people like him offset the idiots that you run into online.
Yeah, you got that right.
So
it's them.
Yeah, we spend way too much talking about them instead of talking about people who are actually doing positive things in the community. I know with myself, people have hit my PayPal up, and that has helped. I mean, shout out to Trey BK and King Jones showing up, and all them guys. You Ian did I mean, I wouldn't have gotten that Elite Dangerous expansion if it wasn't for Trey BK. When it was like $30 on the Pro or on the PlayStation, and it was $14 on the Xbox. I'm like, look, okay, we'll buy this game on Xbox. This is crazy. But yeah, shout out to him for doing that. So there are good people within the community. You just have to put yourself out there, and if you're genuine and you got good content, people will respond. People will respond in kind. But I'm glad J-Dub came on my podcast. I want to say I met him on Titanfall Princess's podcast, over a year ago. So, but yeah, he's helped me out as far as the tech thing and as far as help breaking it down to in layman's terms. And because I could not understand it, I like the way I was just talking about the AMD things. I couldn't understand that, so I really talked to him. So
I had heard of J-Dub for a while, but you were the one that plugged us in. After not to open up old wound after I beat your asses on GT Sport.
That was fine. I knew that. I was trying not to come in last. But each time we raced, I had a personal best time on that track. I'm like, well, I drove the track well. But everybody, if they got better cars and people got wheels, I can't. I'm still on the little joystick, but it was fun. I enjoyed playing more than anything. So it's just like when I play H1Z1, I don't think I've killed anybody on that game. I just kind of run around and throw smoke grenades. I mean, I get armored. They're like, oh, well, here's a gun. They're like, stuff like that. Here's a grenade. Here's bulletproof vest. I'm like, all right, so. But I'm just out there for fodder and having fun because I did my online bit back in the 90s, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Ghost Recon, just stuff like that. Diablo, the original Diablo, not that bullshit you all were playing. I'm talking about when we had to type in and cast. Well, I mean, we had to type in and cast our spells. We had to type that in. And so what I see Warcraft, all Warcraft did was they improved on what we were doing in Diablo. But you would have to type your spell in. If you wanted to cast ice with LT hand, enter, and then you would hit the up button on your on your thumb, on your numeric thing, you hit the 8 with the arrow up. That's how you would cast your spell in Diablo. The first one on PC. So and playing online, we played Ghost Recon on Sundays for 6 hours at a time. I had on a headset, and we were running around a field, and we were communicating with each other. There was no B2 to call. We just ran around the field, and shooting at each other. So we were in a battle royale.
But that's when Ghost was good.
Yeah, we were in a battle royale. They didn't call it that. We called it last man standing. But we call it.
Since you said that's when Ghost was good.
Yeah.
They made that good now. I think now's the perfect time for Ubisoft to go ahead and make that move and maybe introduce VR to the next Ghost Recon.
Yeah, boy. I mean, if they did it with Rainbow Six, they should do it with. And Ghost Recon used to be tactical.
Yes.
All Tom Clancy's games were tactical games. They made it. I mean, they lied about, as far as I'm concerned, about the Ghost Recon Wildlands. What they were showing us in E3 was not what we got. They were talking about you could, if you wanted to go and kidnap somebody and interrogate them, you could wait till day, night, or afternoon. It was something like that. When did that never happen in the damn game? So it's kind of like, when did that happen? That never happened.
Bullshit.
Yeah, so it was complete.
I couldn't get into it because I think when the beta was out or the demo or what have you, after about 5 minutes, after looking at that game for 5 minutes, it felt like Call of Duty.
Well, it did, because if you did one thing wrong, it would set off the alarm. Like, they took the human reaction of surprise, which is a little over 2.5 seconds. They took that out of the game. So it's like,
I just had another thought. How about Splinter Cell in VR?
That would probably not work.
Why not? No, why not? Tell me why it wouldn't work, and I'll tell you why I think it can work.
Well, I mean, it's a stealth-based game to gathering information. It'd have to be a little more open world.
It would have to be more first. It would have to be more first viewing. You can't have it like first viewing, because that wouldn't work for VR.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The entire game would have to be a first person view.
A lot of them wouldn't like that. The die-hard ones wouldn't like that change.
No, I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, if you have an option, you can play the game flat screen, or you can have the option of playing the game in VR all the way through. I think it can work.
I'll go halfway in and say maybe they could do some VR missions, like I guess the Star Wars Battlefront 2 game. If you have PlayStation VR, it detects that, it will unlock like 3 VR missions or something like that.
You get to fly in the TIE fighters and all that. It's fucking mental.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait. But I would love to see a Splinter Cell game. I mean, to bring back the old Splinter Cells. That Blacklist I thought was good. I thought Double Agent was garbage, but that's when it went more open world. I thought Conviction, people hated Conviction. I loved it. I mean, it was very tactical. You had to sneak around. You couldn't just go in there guns blazing. So it was. So bring that shit back. But that was back
Double Agent was the one where you played 3-on-3 spies versus Merc, right?
You could, but it was like you were in this. I don't know. You were like this white supremacist army, pretty much.
I never played the campaign.
The John Brown army. It was stupid.
No, I never played the campaign, but I did play the online part of it.
It was stupid.
I thought the 3-on-3 spies versus Merc. Splinter Cell 2 was pretty damn good. When you had the 2-on-2 spies versus Mercs, but then when the next one came along, which I think was Double Agent, when you had 3-on-3, That, you know, as far as the online multiplayer part of it, that was definitely the best one. The 3-on-3 part of it. That, you know, I sucked at it, but it was still good.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chaos Theory, out of the first three, Chaos Theory is one of the best Splinter Cell games I've ever played. Just ever. It was so good. It was about a war between North and South Korea. And you were actually in South Korea when the North breached the wall. And it was just this massive, I mean, the whole thing was rumbling because of their army that was coming in, and there was constant fighting. You would go around a corner and the NVA, you know, they would be there. It was good. I mean, it was the NKD would be there. It was, and then you had to stop these two missiles from reaching there. It was good. It was just a good ass game. You had timed missions. If you failed, you failed. You had to start way back. You know, you'd be cussing because you failed. Like, God damn, I gotta play this whole thing again. So, but bring that back if you're Sony. If you're listening, bring back good old Gabe Watkins from friggin' Siphon Filter. Bring him back. You know, so he was the original sound.
Did you ever play the Mercenaries? That was a good game.
I've not played that, but I agree. But maybe the VR. I think something a Splinter Cell game with Oculus, that would be cool. Or, you know, because Splinter Cell for me is forever married to Xbox. That's when I first got Xbox. It's the second game I bought. Say, you know, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. I'm buying this shit. So yeah, let them wait and see.
Yeah, I think with the with the original Xbox, I think after other than the 2K and the Shenmue that I first bought, I think a lot of the games that I had bought then were Xbox exclusives with with Mech Assault and Lynx, and I think that airplay game, I think it was called Wings Over Normandy. I can't remember. It was an airplay game. So, you know, that first generation, Microsoft had a lot of good exclusives.
Wow, they actually had exclusives. God.
Yeah, they had a lot of them. They even had their own sports lineup. They had their own football game, their own basketball game, their own baseball game.
Yeah.
You know, they had Mech Assault. They had Wings Over Normandy. I think that's what the game was called. I'm trying to think of some of the other exclusives that they had, because that Lynx golf game that they had, that was the best golf game I ever played. It was better than Tiger Woods.
Yeah, that was off the PC. That basically was a PC port to them. I had that game on PC.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a Microsoft. I thought it was an Xbox exclusive.
It was, but it was a port from the Lynx game. I forgot what year it was. But I had that on PC, and I'm like, I said, these are the same courses, so I would always win because I already knew where to hit the ball and, you know, how much spin to put on the ball and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, the first three Microsoft games I bought on the OG Xbox was Knights of the Old Republic, Splinter Cell. Then I finally capitulated and bought Halo. And what I remember about Halo was landing on the Halo and being able to look up and see, you can see outer space, and then you can see the rest of the ring. And then you would have those coveted drop ships coming in. I'm like, okay, I've not ever seen anything that looks like this before. I mean, this is like a true science fiction game. This should be a movie.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it was, but I enjoyed those three games off the rip. And that's why when the 360 came out, I was up there at Walmart at midnight launch.
Oh God, don't get me started about how much shit I had to go through to get a 360 the day that it launched, because I was
21 in line that day.
Well, I didn't pre-order it. So I got the Sears at 6 a.m. because they missed their shipment. Otherwise they would have been sold out. So the shipment was coming in the next day. So I got there at 6 a.m. and waited at the front door for them to open. When they opened, I was waiting in line. The shipment was late. So the guy came with a notepad and was like, he was taking down names in the order that people was waiting in line. And I was like the second person in line. So he says, it's going to go like this. I'll take your number down so you guys don't have to wait here. He said, when the shipment comes in, I will call you in the order that you were waiting in line. And he says, you have 20 minutes to get back here to claim your order, or it goes to the next person in line. So when I got that call that the shipment had came in and the 360 was there, I left my food right there. I was in the food court at the mall. I didn't even finish my food. I left it there and was hauling ass through the other side of the mall to get there. But boy, that was actually as crazy as chaotic as that was. It was fun.
Yeah, yeah, that was the first game I bought on the 360 was the 2K.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was 04, 05. It was something like that. And
those midnight release days used to be fun.
Yeah. That the last true midnight release I went to was Grand Theft Auto 4. That was a true midnight release, and after that, that's when they started selling the games at 9 o'clock. No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky did have a true midnight release. It did.
The last midnight release I went to was the PS4 when I got my PS4 because GameStop were the only ones who were releasing the console at midnight. So I bought it from them. I did not want to buy it from them, but Best Buy was not having a midnight release.
I remember that. I remember a lot of people were mad and people camped out, at least at my Best Buy, but I didn't get one. I still had my 360. I was in my probably umpteen Mass Effect 3 playthrough. I'm like, I'm not going to trade this in yet. And then when I went to go finally trade it in, I couldn't find one. I'm like, man, this is garbage.
When I find it, I will post the picture when I find it of when I got my PS4. Because I actually kind of like the way GameStop did it. What they was is when you walked in, you could complete the purchase right then and there. You know, finish paying for it right then and there. So when midnight hit, all they did was just call your number, come up, get your PlayStation, and walk out.
Yeah. No, well, with Spider-Man, that's how they. I got off work, went and got a chocolate shake, went to GameStop, paid for my complete purchase of Spider-Man, and then came home, took a shower, finished my shake, got right back in my truck, and went right up to GameStop, and the line was already available, and those people were just mad. There were all the Xbox people were up there buying something called NBA 2K. You know, and so they put them first. They were like, okay, who's here to buy NBA 2K? And like 15 people raised their hand. They were, and she was like, okay, what system are you buying it for? And they said Xbox, and everybody in that GameStop just busted out laughing. Like, I felt bad for them. I mean, this is the way they said it, like, Xbox. Everybody's like,
yeah, I got a funny situation happen to me. This was on the OG Xbox, and this was for the midnight release of Halo 2. You know, I think GameStop, I think they still might have been called EB Games at the time. Yeah, I can't remember, but there was a ton of people waiting in line, and this wasn't no pre-order shit. You basically had to get in line and wait your turn to get in there to buy the game. So I had found out that Myers, do you have a Myers where you live at, Craig?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that Myers started here in Grand Rapids, right?
Yeah, so, worked their way down 75.
Yeah, started here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I think back in the 30s, back in the 30s or the 40s. Yeah. And the Myers, a couple of miles away from where I lived, was the first super center that they built. But in any case, I found out that since they were open 24 hours, I had found out that they were going to, release Halo at midnight, and it was low key. Nobody knew about it. So my friend and I, we went there, picked up Halo 2 in that silver like metal case that it had, and we came back to GameStop. And we pulled out our copies of Halo 2 and held them in the air and just walked past everybody in that line. And they was looking at us like, how the hell did you guys get it? Because GameStop hadn't even opened yet.
Yeah.
So it was like it was open, but they hadn't let anybody in yet. So that was man, I'll never forget the look on everybody's faces as we walked past them holding up our copies of Halo.
Yeah.
Those was the good old days.
That happened to me on Grand Theft Auto 4. The EB game, yeah. Shout out to somebody said they remember GameStop when they were called Babbage's. Yeah, I do. Fan Mall, Babbage's. I had Joe Montana football and Wing Commander. That's when I was heavy into PC though back then with Babbage's. But yeah, that happened with me with Grand Theft Auto 4, Link, and I was in line, and there was a Walmart right next to GameStop, so they were walking past us because GameStop was taking forever because they were letting people trade stuff in, and it was like, God damn, So, but yeah, I remember buying that shit, and I took a vacation to play Grand Theft Auto 4. I got that shit on a Tuesday night. I was off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I didn't go back to work until Thursday afternoon.
people may not know this. You were just talking about the Joe Montana football. People may not know that Madden and 2K and stuff like that, the football games, Joe Montana football that was on the Sega Genesis set the tone for football games as we know it today on consoles, because before Joe Montana football came out, the Madden game, you could not see the entire field. The way it worked was as soon as you snapped the ball, there was 3 windows that would pop up at the top of the screen, and those 3 windows had the receivers in them, showing them, running their routes, and whichever one was open, he would wave for the ball. He would call for the ball. So you had no idea where that receiver was at. All you know was since he was waving for the ball, you throw it to him, and then once you throw it, you just hope to God that he catches it. It didn't show any of that stuff. Now, Joe Montana was the first game that showed the entire field, but it wasn't the way we know it today. The field would tilt as your receivers ran further down the field.
Yeah.
It tilted like it was on a teeter-totter.
But the physics engine, it actually said, I remember the Joe Montana commercial against Madden. I remember when it said it showed Reggie White running right at the camera. It said Reggie White is 6'5", 270 pounds. Once he gets his hands on you, you're not going to break the tackle. And they were either talking about Tecmo Bowl or they were talking about Madden. I can't remember which one it was, but it was something like that. Maybe they were talking about Tecmo Bowl. So he said you're not going to be able to hit a button to break his tackle. It was something like that, they said. So yeah, I remember Electronics Boutique. It was Babbage's first, and then it was Electronics Boutique. And now Electronics Boutique, that's what EB is. And Funko Land it's all GameStop now. But yeah, I remember that. That's bringing back memories right there. My God.
Yeah, definitely. And that Joe Montana football, I remember the commercial for that. Because he was with Kansas City at the time. And then the commercial, he got sacked and was laying on his back. And then he magically went from having the Kansas City uniform on, I think, to like a San Diego Chargers uniform. And he said, man, I just bought a house,
Yeah.
I remember that commercial like yesterday. And that was the good old days.
Yeah. No, I do remember that shit. Yeah. But that was back when you had the Sega Genesis out, you had the Sega CD out, you had the Nintendo system out, you had the Neo Geo out, and it was right before the implosion happened. And then I remember going to Funko Land and seeing the 2K football on the Dreamcast, and people just huddled around the TV. Couldn't believe what they were looking at. So that was one of them. Like, man, I got to get one of those. I never got the Dreamcast. Never.
I had the Dreamcast.
Yeah, we're getting off topic. Yeah, but I remember that. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and I had the sports edition too. And then and see, back when the Dreamcast came out, dial-up was still the dominant form of internet, and it was still relatively expensive. Broadband, as we know it, was just starting to come out, and it was super, super expensive. So when I got a Dreamcast, I had virtually moved in with this girl just because she had an internet connection, so I could play my Dreamcast and play 2K football because it was the first time I played online, and I was having a ball playing 2K with that keyboard in my lap, trying to talk to people while I'm holding the controller and playing Quake 3 Arena. Shit, the Dreamcast allowed crossplay, even though you were getting your asses kicked by PC people. The Dreamcast allowed crossplay with Quake 3. I was playing with people on the PC, and not only that, they were modding. They were creating maps and shit like that, and that made the game even more fun because I was going out of my way to find these mods where they were, adding so much shit to it. So I mean, I was having a ball back then. I was working third shift and I wasn't getting any sleep. You know, I was going into work red-eyed and the motherfucker.
I feel you on that one. But yeah, I actually need to jump off here. I'm going to go to bed myself. I got to be right back at work in like 8 more hours.
Yeah, I feel you. Because I wanted to jump off here so I could jump over to Creed and stream that, so I can knock out some more bums. And I got to be at work myself, so I actually didn't want to go this long. But with that being said, you know, either you two got some closing thoughts.
Go ahead, Ian.
Just that it's a great time to be a gamer.
I agree.
Craig?
Yeah, I agree. Check out Foxy Games podcast today with Matt's Gaming. Foxy's right on par with pretty much a lot of the stuff I've been hearing. And he actually knew more. Let me make that clear. He actually knows more. And Matt's asked him enough good questions where everybody can get a sense, not an exact bead, on where everything is going to be next gen. So,
all right, sounds good. And then me giving my closing thoughts. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how the next few months plays out. With the price cut, with the imminent price cut coming of the PS4 Pro. It depends on it. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes Microsoft to respond to that. But other than that, you know, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And for those who want to stick around at the conclusion of this podcast, I will be jumping over the Creed. I am on a roll. I've knocked out like my last 7 opponents, and I haven't, I have not lost a fight in my last couple of streams. So definitely tune in and watch me knock out some more bums. With that being said, if you two want to give your outros, and we'll close the show.
You go, Craig.
Oh, man, I was over here turning off the TV. Oh yeah, sign up Xbox. What's happening, everybody? Link it next for the Vine. Everybody, keep it gaming, like Ian said, and go check out if you're into movies and into the Marvel stuff. Go check out Venom. You really may like it. You may not. If you don't, take something for the pain.
Mm-hmm. Before you go, real quick, Craig, I was thinking about something. I have been wanting to start up the Lincoln Show again, but it's it's been kind of difficult to get commitments from YouTubers that I don't know, because I had been reaching out to YouTubers that I didn't know and was asking them to come on the show. Fortunately, I was very lucky that a lot of them agreed to it, and I like having podcasts where I'm posing questions. So I'm kind of leaning towards wanting to do that. Like, how would you two feel like us getting together maybe once a week and we have a podcast where I pose questions to you two and get your thoughts on things, so I'll be more of a host asking questions rather than giving my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I work Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So any of those days I can pop on.
Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays?
Yeah, I work those days, so I'm free Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Okay, Wednesday sounds like a great day because that's the day that I usually try to do my podcast, because once I get back on schedule, it's the gym on Monday, the round table on Tuesday, and then I would usually try to have my podcast on Wednesday. So that sounds like a great day. How's that work for you, Ian?
Yeah, it's fine because I'll soon be going back to the States anyway, so the times will be great for me anyway.
Okay, then I'd say let's plan on meeting up next Wednesday, say how about 8:00?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. If that changes, I will keep everybody posted. But yeah, I definitely want to do that because I definitely enjoyed tonight's podcast. So with that being said, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and hang it up, and I'm gonna get ready to jump on over to the PlayStation and play some Creed. For my guest, Craig Harris, Ian Robertson, I want to thank everybody for coming to Wakanda. Make sure you hit the like button and lock that door on your way out. And we will catch everybody later.
All right, then.
Yeah. See you later, guys.
All righty.